Hi everybody, it's Owen from farpoint.org. So I'll do a quick battle report from a game myself and Phil played earlier this week. It was a 30 soulstone game that pitted Rasputina against Sonnia. So for the guild, the strategy was turf war, so we're trying to get as many models onto the Arcanist side of the board as possible and some into the deployment zone again if possible. So I went for assassinate and breakthrough as my schemes as well. For Rasputina, line in the sand was the strategy. Went with holdout and bodyguard, so we almost had complete opposite type schemes. So this is the deployment. You can see Rasputina's crew is up in the top right. We had corners deployment. So there are 4 gammons there, a golem. Phil forgot to put down his effigy, and Rasputina's up there as well. For me then it's mostly Witchling Stalkers, so there's 3 Witchling Stalkers, there's Samuel Hopkins, there's Nino, and there's Sonnia. So we're sticking with models from book 1 just as Phil learns the game. So that's the deployment, so on to the end of turn 1. And here you can see everybody kind of pushed forward. Phil's put down one of his ice pillars. I moved some of my force up the left, a couple of the Witchling Stalkers up onto the platform, and Nino kind of skirting around the bottom and trying to make his way ultimately up the right hand flank. So you can see Phil starting to protect off the dynamite with those pillars, and you'll see through this game that he made good use of the pillars themselves. So on to turn 2, up on the kind of top left you can see we've Samuel Hopkins in behind some barrels. We have a Stalker that's taken a bit of damage, a Gammon hiding up behind one of the rocks there, trying to hold us back a little bit, and the other side we're trying to dice around and not give him a free run into that dynamite marker. Sonnia moved up on top of the hill and threw a couple of spells towards Rasputina, burned through a couple of soul stones to do that. Got a bit of damage onto her, and then Rasputina put the pillars up to kind of block line of sight, but that actually kind of suited Sonnia reasonably well at this stage, but later on we see that those pillars became a bit of a pain. Most of the gammons kind of went for statue, so they were trying to basically armour up and tough it out a little bit, and the rest of my stuff down the bottom right then kind of shuffled around. And I see the golem is making a fairly strong move down towards the hill on the bottom right. On the end of turn 3, and you can see that the guild are starting to hurt here. Phil successfully killed off the Witchling Stalker up the top with the Ice Gammon. The explosion didn't do any damage to anybody. Samuel Hopkins pushed forward mostly to try and get in the way of that Ice Gammon. Again, I managed to put a bit of damage via Sonnia onto Rasputina. Sonnia not needing line of sight to her because Rasputina's CA is quite high. In the middle, a Witchling Stalker that kind of moved across to start at least contesting the dynamites and give Phil a little bit of pause for thought. It died very quickly to a red Joker flip on damage, and it just exploded for very little collateral damage. The other Witchling Stalker then moved into the Golem just basically to try and do a small bit of damage to it, but it was well tanked up and very hard to do any damage to it. And you can see Nino in the woods in the bottom right, so starting to make his way up that flank. Turn 4 again, you can see more ice pillars, but you can see that the guild are really in trouble. Rasputina herself's in a bit of trouble. I mean, she's on 8 wounds of 10. You can see that Samuel Hopkins and the Gammon are going toe to toe in melee, which is obviously not where Samuel Hopkins would prefer to be. Dishing a small bit of damage out to each other, but not a whole lot. Sonnia is trying to get in a position to get back at Rasputina, but not really succeeding there. It's just those ice pillars are really quite in the way in terms of her being on a bit of elevation, and even then they're causing trouble. Down the bottom left, you can see the Witchling Stalker that was toe to toe with the ice column is gone. Nino took some red Joker damage, so Phil was doing quite well in his red Jokers. Nino took some red Joker damage from a ranged attack from the Gammon, so that hurt. And you can see both the Gammon and Nino are gone. That was quite a cinematic part of play, where the Gammon charged Nino. Phil got the initiative, completely stuffed his attack, missed him rather spectacularly. Nino then pushed out of Malifaux with his special ability, turned around, shot the ice gammon twice. He just got the trigger to do it twice, and the gammon exploded, taking the last wound off Nino, so both of them ended up dead. The golem started to push across to try and get shots on Sonnia, and you can see Sonnia's really hurting here. So Sonnia smashed the ice pillar to try and move down that slope, basically trying to get closer to Rasputina, but things are starting to stack up. So Phil cast spells before he moved Rasputina back. Cast spells via the ice gammon that's up there in the kind of middle of the board towards those woods. He also shot at Sonnia via the ice gammon that's just on the edge of the hill there, and even the golem was starting to move forward to try and get shots on. So Sonnia's on 9 wounds here, no soul stones left. Going into turn 6, it looks like nothing's going to happen for the guild, and sure enough, Phil was out to seal the deal. He got the initiative, nothing I could do about it. A couple of focused attacks from the ice gammon was enough to take the wound off Sonnia, and that's how it ended. So this game ended 6-0 to Phil, so Rasputina won 6-0. He achieved almost all of his strategy. There's one dynamite marker that he didn't quite get to down the bottom right there. He achieved both of his schemes, and the guild achieved nothing. So Phil, I think, played particularly well. I mean, given that this is his 3rd game, he used the ice pillars to good effect. They didn't block him off too much. They got in my way, and a really, really good game. So looking forward to the next one. So thanks for watching, everyone.